There's been a lot of talk this offseason. What will Devon Dampier and Utah football do? Well, I'm here to tell you. On yesterday's show, I said Utah is going to go 10-2. I think they're winning the Big 12 championship game, and I think they're going to the college football playoff. But in order to do that, they're going to need some pretty special seasons. So what I have here are my season predictions for what I think each Utah football player, at least the main contributors, are going to do in the 2025 season. Let's start with the man who's going to draw all the headlines. As good as Wayshawn Parker is going to be, and I said he'll be the breakout star of week one, it's still going to be Devon Dampier, who shines incredibly bright because of the position he plays. And I think he's going to shine incredibly bright all season long. I think he is going to rush for 1,000 yards again. Let's not forget, he was sacked just 5 times last season, despite playing a few P4 offensive lines, not defensive lines, not amazing ones, Auburn and Arizona. But like in those games alone, often you see G5 QBs get sacked. And Devon Dampier was able to get away from them and make plays. So what does that have to do with his rushing numbers? Well, he's just incredibly elusive. I go back to those earlier stats I mentioned, averaging 7.5 yards per carry to lead the country, having over 50 missed tackles, forced missed tackles at the quarterback spot. That's unheard of. His speed will translate. He just moves at a different pace than everyone else out on the field. He knows when to be smart and get out of bounds. He can be used in the quarterback run game. He's incredibly elusive. He's got great speed and shiftiness too, in some ways similar to that of a running back. To me, Devon Dampier is also going to be a star this college football season. I've already said I think he's going to finish in the top 10 of the Heisman Trophy voting. It's a lofty claim, but I think Devon Dampier can back it up. So we know he's going to be really good with his legs, especially ditto for what we just talked about for Wayshawn. Behind this offensive line, he's going to feast. So how will he do passing the ball? I believe he's going over 3,000 yards. Now, that's obviously an improvement over the 2,500, but I think he's playing with a better supporting cast overall and a much better offensive line, and that's going to lead to that improvement. Also, that may seem like a lot. Like, okay, he's going to account for 4,000 total yards. That's a lot. 3,000 passing yards, that's a lot. I know it is. But when you think about it like this, if Devon Dampier plays in 14 games, that is what I have him playing in, he would just need to average 214 passing yards per game to get over 3,000. I absolutely think he's going to do that. If you turn on a New Mexico game last season, you will see so often, even on the negative plays, Devon Dampier is towards the bottom of what went wrong. There are receivers who are dropping passes out there. There's offensive linemen that can't hold up. We don't know about the receivers as much, but I do believe top to bottom, this is a better overall receiving supporting cast for him. Like Luke Wysong was really good. I think Tobias Merriweather has a much higher ceiling. We'll talk about what Merriweather can do in a moment. But it's another year in this offense too. He's improved on the accuracy. He's talked about he's gotten better at taking less chances as well too, which I find incredibly encouraging that he's cutting down on some of those turnovers and errant throws. I think he's going to make the right decisions. I think Jason Beck knows his quarterback even better after another year together, seeing what's worth. It worked. Let's not forget these two together led the 4th best offense on a yards per game basis last season. So why would I expect this offense not to be effective? And if you're going to be an effective offense, you have to be a dynamic offense where you can run and throw the ball. Utah is going to be able to do that. I have Devon Dampier over 4,000 total yards, over 3,000 yards passing, and over 1,000 yards rushing. Speaking of rushing, we spent a lot of time on Wayshawn Parker, so I'll give my predictions for him quick. I said I think he's going to become the lead back. I think he is going over 1,000 yards this season. I think he's going for 10 touchdowns too. I could honestly see him having multiple 200-yard rushing games. Maybe that won't happen because of Devon Dampier, but let's not forget, New Mexico last year, their offense had 2,000-yard rushers. I think Utah's offense is going to as well. This team's strength is still the run game with that offensive line, with Dampier, with Parker, the read option game, just Dampier's ability to, hey, a defense is taking away everything else. The one thing that so often is hard to account for is a quarterback who, and teams will try to, good luck spying Devon Dampier with a linebacker with how quick he is, though. So teams will try to limit his legs, but that will be easier said than done. Arizona tried, Auburn tried, didn't work out so well for them. Dampier absolutely balled. He will in the Big 12. But Wayshawn Parker is a guy who's going to be incredibly productive. I think he's going to average over 5 yards per carry, as I said. He had over 700 yards last year. His sophomore leap is going to be immense behind this offensive line with Devon Dampier. I think Wayshawn Parker goes over 1,000 yards. Naquari Rogers is an interesting one. He had over 300 yards last year. I go back and forth on him. I see him between 400 and 600 yards on the season. If there's injuries, that probably goes up. Like not Dampier as much, but Parker gets hurt, then that's more opportunities for Rodgers. He's a veteran. He knows what to do. He's really tough to bring down. I just don't think he's as explosive and as shifty as Parker is, but Rodgers is incredibly tough. He's physical. And I think if Wayshawn Parker gets 60% of the carries, he's getting the other 35, and we'll see who gets the last 5% of that. So I think Wayshawn Parker's in for a big season. Also, I think obviously because I'm high on those two individuals, I think this Utah offensive line is going to be amazing. And I think Utah's offense is going to be exceptional. I think they average over 4 yards per carry. I think Dampier is sacked less than 8 times on the year, especially less than 8 times that's on the offensive line, I should say. Like, could Dampier be a double-digit sack guy, even though he had 5 last year, just because he's dancing around and trying to do and make something happen when he really should throw the ball away or just try to tuck in and run for it? He said he's cut down on those turnovers, but it's going to take time. So, yeah, but I just think this Utah offensive line is going to be awesome. They'll give Dampier ample time to throw and running backs and quarterback clear rushing lanes. So, speaking of time to throw, who's Dampier going to throw the ball to? I believe Utah's number one receiver, as we've heard that Utah has narrowed it down. They know they're going to travel. They know who the guys are going to be. Kyle just likes to be Kyle and not release depth charts. So, as for who I think the wide receiver one is going to be on this team, I think it's going to be Tobias Merriweather. We've heard he's looked really good. He's healthy. Him and Larry Simmons, even though they were spring portal additions after Utah lost Zacharias Williams after spring ball, those guys have gotten in. They put in the extra reps. That's something Dampier said. Micah Simon said. They've stood out. I think those are the top 2 receivers. I have Merriweather going over 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. I think there's a world where he's over 1,000. I just think even though Dampier will be airing it out, I think it's going to be a very much by committee wide receiver room overall. But I could see Merriweather being a guy who goes over 800 yards there. I also think 8 touchdowns too. Let's not forget 6'5", 200 pounds, massive catch radius, can run every route basically in the book. He's bought into Utah's offense. Utah wanted him, and I think they're going to make great things happen together. Larry Simmons, I have going over 650 yards on the season too. Had a really strong camp by all indication. I think he's clearly the second best guy. Then I'll go Ryan Davis going over 600 yards here for this Utah team. He had over 700 last year in New Mexico. I think it's a slight step back, moving up to the P4 level. And I know in some ways I'm not projecting Devon Dampier to take the step back. It's just a difference to me. Like, I think Ryan Davis is a good slot receiver, but he doesn't possess the transcendent abilities that I truly believe make Devon Dampier one of the most elusive and in many ways elite quarterbacks I think he has a chance to be in the sport, as I've said multiple times. I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback this coming season. And then I'll go also Darren Zipper. I'm going to go him to have over 500 yards. And maybe he'll be more closer to 400, but Smith Snowden was high on him. I like the flashes I saw from him as a freshman. I think he's making a sophomore leap too. So I think those will be the main 4 Utah receivers. I could see Creed Whitmore getting over 200 yards on the season too, making a couple plays and grabs. And who knows who else might surprise us. Is it Justin Stevens, Luca Caldarella making some grabs? I do think other guys get in there. I don't know if those guys are going over 300 yards on this season. Like the first 4 guys, I feel very confident with that about. And maybe Creed Whitmore could creep into that as well too, the Mississippi State transfer that Utah added. So now we've reached the hardest position to project on offense, honestly, on the roster production-wise. Like the tight ends. Like, what are the tight ends going to do? It's just a reminder who Utah's tight ends are. And I didn't mention Smith Snowden in receiving yards. I think he'll make a couple grabs, but I like what Utah has at receiver. I don't think it's amazing. It's like one of the best in the Big 12, but I think it's a good group, and I think it's better than a defensive back coming over playing wide receiver. So looking at this tight end room, I think Otto Tia will end up being the top guy, over 500 yards at Utah State. I think he's coming over. He wasn't great at receiver, but I think he's going to shift to tight end. I think he goes over 300 yards on the season. He's just the best pass catcher they have. Then after that, I think Hunter Andrews goes over 200. He makes a couple of quality catches for this team, but he's still getting his foot under him at the position after originally being a linebacker as a recruit and then a running back and now a tight end here. As for who else gets in on the tight end action, I could see Lander. I think Lander catches like 3 touchdowns on the season. I think he's going to be a red zone guy, kind of like how Utah used Lohner last year, but not obviously Lohner's taller, the leaping ability, all that more too. And then Dallin Bentley, I think, makes a couple grabs as well, but is more so the blocker when this team needs it. You know what? As I'm looking over my notes, I realized I forgot to make an offensive prediction for someone. That's Nate Johnson. I think Nate Johnson's going to be used in a lot of creative ways. I think it's going to be hard to take the ball to Devon Dampier's hands, but I do think Utah could get creative at times and have like Nate Johnson, Devon Dampier, and Wayshawn Parker are all in the backfield together to try to do something wild. Nate Johnson's legs and his speed are just elite. I mean, we're talking about a guy who would constantly shake SEC defenders out of their boots. I think he's going to have over 300 yards of total offense this season, maybe even over 400. He's listed as an athlete. I think he's going to catch some passes. I think he's going to run the ball some. In what ways exactly? Like, is it between the tackles? I don't know, but maybe he'll be like Utah's Deebo Samuel, right? The 49ers would line him up in the backfield, have him run up the middle, get involved in the jet sweep game constantly. There's lots of ways that Utah's going to use Nate Johnson, and I'm excited to see it. And I'm curious to see what this offense will look like. Drop your offensive predictions in the comments below. Today's episode of Locked On Utes is brought to you by our great friends at FanDuel. Guys, the wait is over. College football is back this weekend. We got a great matchup, Kansas State, Iowa State, Farmageddon in Ireland, and FanDuel has you covered because you can get in on the action with that game specifically, but also you can look at August 26th because that is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for the bold predictions and preseason hunches. Just for 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're just calling your MVP or eyeing a long shot division winner, or you're ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. You can even parlay your division winner or dark horse. Who do you think is winning MVP? Your Super Bowl favorite? Head over to FanDuel to call your shot today. Visit FanDuel's app today and start planning your future bets now because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, you can play your game today.